Hey everybody, it's John here with National Sports Entertainment, and I really am excited to go into the game we just saw. I know a lot of people noticed some interesting things regarding just obviously the 2-point conversions and other things, Devontae Adams' touchdowns, the roughing the passer. But what I found interesting was the symbolism. It's why I put in the description. One thing I was certain of was the Chiefs were going to win, and I attached a link. I did that for a reason. The symbolism in this game was strong. So if you don't know, I explained again in the description when it was brought to my attention. This was the 126th game between the Raiders and the Chiefs. Zack Miles had brought that to my attention in the comments. So we had different theories on it, but I had done a video earlier this year on Kobe Bryant and the mystique of the number 41 surrounding Kobe Bryant. So when I knew it was Kobe Bryant that day, I knew the 4s and the 1s were going to be symbolic, and the 3s and the 1s, because I can't. I could explain it, but if you just watch the video, I actually have captions and everything where you can see how 413 and 341, all those numbers, were very significant with Kobe. So when I figured that out, it was pretty obvious to me that they were going to go 4-1 and the Raiders are going to go 1-4. But here's the example, and somebody suggested I do some live halftime streams, which I would love to do. If you guys would want to watch it, just I don't know, give me just say yes or no or whatever. I don't want to do something you guys wouldn't want, but I would love to do it. Discord's been brought up too. Anything where I can just live time, go back and forth, ask questions. We can bounce stuff off each other. I would be 100% for that. But you couldn't. This palindrome. It's not quite a palindrome, but this number sequence could only come up if you ran a simulator about 500,000 times, because I didn't get the whole frame in here. But as you can see, it's just go from left to right. Now we obviously missed that extra point, which would have made it even more interesting. But look at the record, the seconds, and this is exactly when Mahomes took the snap. And because I noticed there were 41 seconds on the play clock when they got the ball back, or on the game clock, and I said that's odd, 41 again. So sure enough, we have 4-1, 41 seconds. The last snap here at 14 seconds, and the Raiders at 1-4. Those palindromes just don't come up. You don't see them in everyday life. Yet in football, you will see them all the time. We saw it with Aaron Judge. You just see it. I know he's not football, but I mean in sports, you'll see it all the time. So, and of course, what do we have? I believe we had a 1-point win because of 4 touchdowns from Mahomes to Kittle, or Kelsey. Now, again, what's interesting is Mahomes. He had to look good going into Buffalo. That was my theory. That's why I did think they'd cover. They went with the halftime narrative where he's going to lead them from behind, which of course is fine. That one works too. I thought they were going to go with the plus. He's going to blow him off the field like Allen, but they went with the he's going to come back. That is why, if you noticed, we're up. I'm at 380. I was chatting with people during the game, letting them know that I strongly believed that the Kansas City was still going to win. So when they were down by about, I think it was 7 or 10, Vegas was still having them at about even odds, which again is even more of a feeling. So I did go ahead and bet 120 to win 100. So even though the cover didn't win, we did get the straight up money line bet. Another reason I'd love to go live. If I notice something immediately, I can let people know. And I'm not always right, but in this case, I think the symbolism doesn't lie. And this isn't stuff that I took, and got all these numbers and extrapolated them and ran them through gematria calculators. These are the numbers that just kept popping in my face, because they were just so blatant. The 4s and the 1s and the 14s, and like I said, going into the game, the 13s. And this will make much more sense if I have a Kobe video. It's 9 minutes and 17 seconds long. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because it's very interesting that again, with Kobe, I noticed nothing but 4 1s and 3s. This stuff isn't a coincidence, and it crosses beyond one sport. It's all connected. I think these teams have sister teams or something, and there's a team in the NFL that represents a team in basketball and etc. Just because of the commonalities we notice, and people notice commonalities with the Rams and the Warriors, and I noticed just a bunch of weird things with Kobe. And again, not to get too much off tangent, I just really found this interesting. But yeah, so when we see stuff like that, the rough and the passer, it's setting up the narrative. They're not going to have Mahomes come all the way back, throw 4 touchdowns, and lose. It's like having a wrestler, an underdog, like when Cody returned at WrestleMania, and then in his third match, he had like the torn pec, and he's fighting Seth Rollins. And by the way, he actually did have a torn pec, so the wrestlers actually do get injured and fight through them, unlike these athletes, quote athletes. But anyway, Cody Rhodes, sure enough, he fights through the match, wins the match. Why? Because you're not going to have him lose after he goes in with a torn pec and gets the shit kicked out of him. That's what happened with Mahomes. They started him off down 17-0, I think it was. Calls not going their way. And you got to give him the payoff. He's got to win the game. There's no way he loses going into Buffalo. So I wish I was right about the spread. Like I said, that game was very interesting. The Chiefs winning in general, I know a lot of people like the Raiders. I think they were a red herring in this game because of what they did in the last few weeks and the fact that the Chiefs have blown leads. So it's enticing money line. I think Vegas just did a very simple tactic. They got a lot of money on the Raiders money line, and they got a lot of money on the Chiefs spread. And they didn't even need the push here. But God forbid enough live betting came in, they probably would have had that push where, the 7. But they didn't need it. So it's an interesting game, like I said. But yeah, I would love to do some kind of live halftime feed because there's stuff I'll notice. And as I'm noticing it, I got so many people messaging me, hey, did you realize that this, and it might not be something I noticed, but then I could put that together with what I noticed, and it's just stronger. It's like a think tank. So I didn't want to take up too much of you guys' time. Like I said, in this case, due to live betting, which I know a lot of you guys do, which is great, that's how we're able to, again, optimize this system. This was a second leg of we had lost. I had chose the under or the over in last night's game. So we're able to get that back. And as you can see, now we are more than double where we started. So we had a rough day yesterday, but we're going to stick with the system. And I'm going to go into some baseball games tomorrow. When you have a 5-game series, it's a lot better because in the 3-game series, a lot of times they'll just, sweep somebody right off the bat, and that's the end of it. Thank you, Andrea. How nice. But yeah, so it's just something that I've noticed with the baseball series. But I have a very specific outcome in mind. They are referring to a new Subway series on the Subway commercial. And I'll leave it at that because I don't want to, bore you guys with baseball. I know you guys want to hear about the Chiefs. But I'll go into that another time. I have a very specific prediction on that, how that's going to go. But yeah, if you noticed weird stuff with the game, it definitely wasn't you. It was a script. They got the fans involved even. And I'm not saying they were acting. The fans seemed pretty... it was like a WWE event, You get the fans, get to kind of do what you want them to do. And I think that's what they did here. And yeah, so we'll be covering... I think there's a couple college games tomorrow we can go into. And obviously, I love the Commanders game. That one, it's just a perfect game because they're just two teams that are shitty. And I don't know why. I usually do pretty good when I pick two shitty teams. But anyway... Everybody, I hope everyone did all right on their picks for those that hedged. I know a lot of you did get the Raiders +7, so nice. And, whoever was able to get any kind of live action and win, I'm glad. I was able to take advantage of the Chiefs being down, get them at even odds for the Mahomes comeback story. And I can't wait to go into next week because they've already started that narrative with Mahomes and Allen. So take care, everybody, and happy earnings.